Hello, good morning. Today is the 24th of February, 2026, and the time is 6:27. No, 23. And today's topic, or the part of the body you would be paying attention to, maintaining, making it better, is the region of the hips. It's about the region of the pelvis. Um, Now, I have on my calendar on www.dynamicstillnesses.com. On the page named Dailies, put up a calendar with the um, month of February. And for the date of today, 24th, is mentioned pelvis, hips. Now, I have categorized body into 41 parts, with 40 of the parts having 4 parts each by my own logic. And then one part has just the tail. Okay. Um, so it just helps, I mean, to maintain health in different ways, uh, to have a certain perspective and then to work from there regularly to maintain health has its own benefits. So I have a system by which I maintain health. So do join me on this journey of improving your own health, your own body, house, production unit, vehicle, office, um, the only place from where we can have a living experience of life. And then the more we take care of our own body and the human body we have, we can also appreciate the microbial plants, animals, earth, water, fire, air, spirit, space, nothing, everything, what have you. People are even looking through telescopes into distant space, microscopes into tiny, invisible particles and vehicles and different dynamics. But we get to know of them in any manner that is useful from having a body that's human and having a system by which these different bits of information can be collated into a masterpiece of life, our own personal life, and then from there to contribute to all that there is. Everybody, anybody, what have you, anything, yeah, nothing, yeah. So, ooh, you see the opportunity. So why joining me on this journey makes a difference because I think about all of these things. So those who join lives along with me then have the benefit of seeing your construct also while you may be participating in other programs. You would be able to see what difference would it make from also joining my community. And I'm developing my community on learn.dynamicstillnesses.com. I also make my content available on different social media. Today's live is about the hips. And hips are two joints, just like the shoulder girdle. Shoulder joints is two sockets. Hip joints are two sockets formed from the pelvic girdle, joining through a socketed uh, pulley lever kind. No, a what is wrench and spanner kind. Okay, am I saying there's two things? Um, Ball socket joint with the thigh bone, pelvic girdle joint socket, ball socket joint with the thigh bone. Okay, and the engineering is so beautiful, it is a marvel in and of itself. And then it is then maintained with a fine little, ooh, substantial fibers in bundles in different directions called the muscle bundles. Different kinds of muscle fibers joined together in different bundles and then are arranged in different directions to form the hip bone or the hip joint muscle bundle. It's quite a package. And how they all function together, and if there is something that is not working, then also the music of the hip joint changes. Like doctors go place a stethoscope to listen to your lungs. There's a certain sound. Now I don't think they have made instruments to check for the music of the hips. Yeah, not yet, or maybe, or I don't know about them. And they even make have instruments to listen to plants. I think they need to make some instrument to listen to human um, plant, no, organism. We stand up on two feet like trees, but we move like animals. Oh no, animals walk on 4 feet. We walk on two. So, and we also even contort in different shapes like microbes. So we are neither a plant, neither an animal, nor a microbe, or a combination of all of this, and a species unique of its own called a human. Yeah. And then there are different qualities of human, crude to ennobled. So, or bohemian, or what have you, bohemic. Yeah. Okay. And ennobled. Not that one is better than the other, but both have their own jobs in the whole scheme of things. If you don't have babies, you don't have adults growing up. And then we've had crude civilizations, and then refined civilizations where people also drink from flutes of glass, yeah, and walk on still toes. That took some while for me. And eat from ceramic plates where you don't tinker, versus you just squat somewhere and then grab onto a plate, and then you can even burp in the middle of a meal. So there are different appreciations of food, but different civilizations and what they each bring. So when we have so much of a variety, and we are all on the same planet Earth, shouldn't we be appreciative of our body, which goes through these different kinds of experiences, which may seem completely contradictory to each other? And we are in the morning. Morning physiology different from evening physiology. Okay, afternoon physiology different from evening physiology, different from night physiology. Clearly, I'm fascinated by the human body. Yeah, okay. So the hips maintain our ability to appreciate from having the balance, like a swing. You sit on a swing, you have these chains um, onto a plate. Yeah, a plate. You sit on it, and then you can swing. Our hip bones, hip joints, left and right sides, maintain our um, internal body framework, also called the trunk. Yeah, like a chest of treasures, like a trunk. Yeah, it's also called the trunk. From the pelvic girdle right up to our head. Okay. To our shoulders is called the trunk, and then we have the head. I think the whole upper part, axial body, which is pelvis to the head, and then the trunk is from pelvis to shoulders. Okay. And then we have extremities, which is the limbs, the legs, and the hands, arms. Yeah, the dangly stuff on the sides of our shoulders, and which is the on which we walk, is the four limbs, yeah, which are also called the extremities, because they're kind of extremes, or they are okay. Towards the outer sides, in contact with ground, the trunk is carried by two limbs called the legs, and then we can do things, or according to our ability. If some have limbs, some don't. So according to your placement in the whole scheme of things, have different constructs have their own job in the whole scheme of things. People with limbs can do certain things. People without limbs can do certain things. Both can't replace each other. No. So, given these varieties, let us appreciate the body we have and the joint called the hip joint. Now, if you don't have limbs, you have the lower part of your body where the hip joints would also be the lower left and right sides. You have a body that's human, you have a skeletal structure that has a pelvic girdle and has hip joints. Okay. Now, having now this is some of the basic necessity structures, basic structures of human body, and then there is adjustments um, to accommodate for the job that you are born to do in the whole scheme of things. And this bony framework breathes in an alive being and then adjusts and forms shape according to um, different placement, your job placement. And then this breathing skeletal structure is then covered with muscular structure, which also breathes. Because in an alive being, cells, tissues, organ systems, they all breathe. Um, uh, a mannequin in a doctor's shop, it's also called the skeleton. But okay, picture framework. They don't have breathing structures. You would freak out if they did. Yeah. But if you can have a mechanical structure that then represents something like breathing, that would be a mechanical structure which does actions that looks like breathing. That is not necessarily breathing. Breathing is so much more finer and variegated and has so many functions than just the expansion and contraction of structures. So you could make a robot that looks like breathing, but that's not breathing. Now, which are all some of the finer details of Nirbeeja Yoga. Yeah. Now, having said that, hip joints, just appreciating the skeletal framework of this area called the hip joint, with or without your leg limbs, forms for an interesting conversation. Or at least you can spend hours just appreciating what this part of the body, called the hip joint area, makes available in your everyday experience of living. We can write volumes about it. Yeah. Um, yeah. Okay. I invite you to bring your attention to this area, the left and right sides, called the hip joints. We are not talking about the region in between, where we don't have a bony region in between, kind of. We have the pubic symphysis and we have the coccyx um, behind. And we have, okay, we have the pelvic joint to form the pubic symphysis and the coccyx. But we are only talking about the hip joint. And the hip joint, okay, and we have several tissues in between our legs, which is more soft tissues. Okay. But um, they are forming a structure which is then supported also by the hip joint. So we're only talking about the swing. Yeah. The links that form the swing. So you have your with or without limbs, but you have the hip joint. And the movement of the hip joint gives your body a walkability, because the pelvic joint at the hip joint can move left and right. There are people who may not have legs, arms, but they walk because this joint allows them to move left and right, or along with the pelvic girdle and with the musculature, fine coordination. But the left and right sides, it's called bilateral. And what this joint does in bringing about movement is nothing short of amazing, because this joint works with the shoulder girdle, which is the um, other side of the trunk region. Yeah. So it's a treasure house. It's a trunk. And the left and right sides is, what do you say, placeholder marked, year marked. We have ears, left and right sides. We have shoulder marked, and we have hip marked. Yeah. To know where's the left and right sides. Without this joint, without these joints, you may have had a difficulty knowing which is your left and right sides. Maybe. Because there's a structure which then makes it substantially a framework upon which our muscles And then over time, we have a physical sense of left and right. Otherwise, we may have had conceptual ideas and other parts of the or other dots and dashes by which to arrive at which is left and right. When you close your eyes, and if you have a difficulty feeling any of your tissues, your bones will definitely let you know that you are. It's called astitva or asti. In Hindi, it's Sanskrit, Vedic language. Asti is also bones. And astitva is another word for existence. Your bony framework gives an existential experience, sensory experience, over and above which is your soft tissues. I invite you to bring your attention to sit, just sit, because you're going to have a little moment in paying attention to what this astitva or existence given by the asti makes available. And you're talking only about the hip joints. Because you may have to sit, because your muscles may not be able to hold the gravitas of the matter. Because this is the bony structure, hard material formed over several cycles of evolution to form the human bony structure. And then soft tissues is muscles and fascia and what have you, small skin and all these details. They have their own role to play, but we're talking about the heavy matter of the bone. So I invite you to sit down because your bones may um, budge with the gravitas of the matter. Because your bones may be holding tissue memory from oh so long. Because your bony framework didn't just form overnight. It went through several cycles of human evolution, like from when bones came into existence all the way to form the human bony structure. And then you were born from your parents, which means the template of a human bony structure was then passed on to you. And then you were born through the human um, biological body forming engineering. And so remarkable structure. And then you are born. Now you're appreciating that bony structure. And the bony structure of the pelvis or any part of your skeletal system is made up of a network called the Haversian canal. Bring your attention to the word Haversian canal. Yeah, like have. What you have is network to form a Haversian canal. So whether or not you have questions about, haves and have-nots, you have what you have, what you don't have, you have the human body bony skeletal structure. Every human being has this, but you have your own. So if you have any concerns about, they have, you don't have, you have, and then you have a framework, a blueprint. No, this is more a hard print. Your template, you can feel it. You're walking around with this blueprint, no hard print. Yeah, say human body copy, not animal copy. Yeah, and it's a network of what you have. So whether or not you have an office, a data management system, or information management system, you have a bony structure. And then what is templated or what is like you have an office, when you file information, it's the content of that cabinet with that set of office information. You already have a Haversian system, a canal. Yeah. And not just a system, a canal, where information can get updated according to how well you take care of your bones. Astitva, your asti. And when you take care of your bones well enough, the information filed in the Haversian canal system gets updated. So the memory you hold, you may be living yesterday from birth time, you've had a trauma, and up to now you're still holding that file. Instead of um, uh, healing it, updating it, new stories, you're holding on to the same stories since ages. Yeah. And then you're talking about your instead of being adult, you're having an adult life, dull and boring. And then same stories over and over. How do you update your pony system? Astitva, your existence, existential stories and angst, existential have ocean canal. We are in different stages of improving that by bringing attention to the asti that forms your astitva, yeah, your existential, your existence, by the story that is woven to form your human body. It's also called the weaves or the Vedas. Your walkie-talkie Veda weave of the stories that has come about since a long time that the Vedas talk about. It's like body intelligence. There's an intelligence that forms the human body, and then there is your Veda. The weave that makes you versus anybody else. Okay? And we are paying attention to the weave that makes you with the Havisham canal system that has you uniquely have what you have versus anybody else. And we're having a Havisham canal system. So it's not just a filing cabinet, these are canals, like water flows through canals. So your bones are connected to so many networks, yeah, including bone marrow inside. And bone marrow is where new stories form. Immunity, humanity, many stories form. Yeah, blood, they are all forming from the bone marrow. And this is protected by the asti, the bone, the Havisham canal also. Yeah, it's fine network. But do you know how wealthy you are already? You have an amazing filing system and in a canal system at that. Yeah. So if you have a closed heart, like, oh, poor me, you should just remember your bones. You're having a canal system connecting one network to another and then holding it all together in a fine weave called the Vedas. If you're not reading the Vedas, I'll recommend a book. It's in English. It's called The Upanishads by Miss Valerie Roebuck. I recommend this because that is a book that I have been reading, and I have my understanding of the Upanishads, the Sanskrit, different. I wanted to read the Upanishads, and it's in Sanskrit, they said. So somebody recommended read Sanskrit, you got to learn from the basic. I said, I only want to read this book. Why do I need to read the whole stuff? And then I got my hand onto this English book. Truth has many versions. There are many versions of the truth. And then every version of the truth is a version of the truth. And then over time, bits of truth come together and you have bigger truths. And then there is 0 to 9, and there's 10, and then 10 to 19, and then there's 20. So there's 100 and 10,000 and what have you numbers. So these are all different greater truths. Yeah. But there is 0 to 9 repeated. So if you don't get the basics, you have the human body and you don't know the wealth that you already have, including but not limited to the Havisham canal. Yeah. Can you imagine the engineering? You have a Havisham canal named after a scientist, but look at the intelligent design. It is called the Havisham canal, not the Mullerian canal or what have you. Um, uh, Bita canal. Yeah, that's my name. Or something else. You have your own name that's representing a landmark. Havisham canal is representing a landmark where they discovered a system, and then the best way to, by intelligent design, it was called the Havisham canal, because maybe intelligent design knew a person like me will come and look at it and say, oh, have and have not. So yeah, so when it's discovered, it's like to look at how things show up. So you have your name, um, your stories, and what you make all matters, because that's a signature story landmark with your name. Yeah. And then what do you do with the name and the different set of networks that you make, including your parents and your relatives and friends and the place that you live, address? Your address has a lot of names. Yeah. Uh, uh, you buy something from somewhere. That place where you buy something also has addresses. You got lots of names, just like your Havisham Canal. Yeah. network of different networks. Yeah. And your net worth is also the different names you have. And then how have you put the names together in a story? And what kind of story are you living? Are you living an epic journey, like an epic story, or a satire, or a comedy, or a drama? Or, well, we have lots of genres of theater, of movie types, song types. Yeah, look it up on Google, you'll find. And then try and see what is the genre of your life story, and then see if you'd like to improve it. By a comedy has a certain story structure. And when you change the story structure, you still have the same body, human body. But the names, how you put them together, how you then string them together, forms a story. And then it's in a genre. Yeah. So look it up on Google. Hello, Anil. Yeah. So look it up on Google. Look up the different genres of stories there is: theater, drama, comedy, satire, and then try and see which story type does your life story match by, and then see what do you need to change so that the construct of your story changes. And then you have, if you like comedy, then you have your life as a comedy. There is benefit. What I've done is I've put all these genres together and made a buffet of it.
Hello, good morning. Good morning.
Very good morning. How do you do?
Doing well, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Um, has were you listening? You just joined.
Just join, ma'am.
Okay. Would you tell me what interests you that you join this live, please?
In fact, I'm a yoga practitioner. Okay.
Okay.
I've been doing yoga for quite some time.
Okay.
Okay. I thought there is a space where if I can learn some new yoga.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the topic for today is hips, and it's the Nirbeeja Yoga style is a movementless method of yoga.
Okay.
And there is more awareness based. So to give a context, it's from the Samaya tradition, sort of from the Sri Vidya tradition. So this is time based. So in terms of circadian rhythms, um, and different dynamics between matter and energy. Okay. Some people practice in terms of energy, and then there is the Sthula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira. Yeah. So this is a yoga between the what's called the primary respiration and secondary respiration. Okay.
Can you make it simple
Okay.
so that it is easy to comprehend?
Huh. Now, when we say primary respiration, a baby born in a mother's womb, as while the baby is growing up, there is a form of respiration that's you could say that it's sukshma, yeah, that then forms the body, and then that's called the primary respiration, where the lungs are not yet functioning. Now, after birth, the lungs start to function, and that respiration and the body dynamics that forms after birth we call as a secondary respiration. So even after birth, the primary respiration and secondary respiration continues. Some tend to call it as the Jivatma Paramatma. Yeah, because the Paramatma is also, there's this reference to the Parabrahma as a creator. But our body also took shape in our mother's womb through different processes of cooperative creation. Yeah. And then there are different levels of what they call as the Parabrahma, bigger, higher self, lower self. Yeah. But yoga between these two is also what gives rise to the shape, the Prakriti and the Purusha. That's our body. Yeah. The Sthula Sharira, the matter and energy that also forms our body. Now, lots of technical details, but if you're just going to appreciate how this works, awareness, mindfulness, and present moment appreciation are some of the details. So today's live is about the hips, the hip joints. So what does it feel like, Nirbeeja Yoga style? So I invite you. Now I might just speak. If there is no interruption, nobody's asking a question. So do feel free to pause me and then ask the question if something is not clear, and I'll be glad to clarify. Yeah. So I invite you to bring your attention to your hip area. Pay attention. If you're sitting, the experience of your hip area would be different versus when you're standing or when you're lying down or when you're moving. Your hip joints move differently, and you would have a different experience of your hip joints with these different postures. That's also asana, in the sense, how are you poised or postured in the whole scheme of things at this point in time. So some people do yogasana in the morning or in the afternoon or in the evening, and accordingly, the physiology is different at different times of the day. That's also samaya. Yeah. And a body shows different experiences in terms of asana, poise, at different times of the day. Also, depending on what posture you are assuming. So, for the purpose of this exercise, at this point in time, I invite you to sit down if possible, if you have a sitting surface. So, we can appreciate the posture or the experience of the hip joints. Hello, animals lover. Now, so we can experience the dynamics of the hip joints from a seated posture. There are several fine details here. For example, there is the experience of the bones, which are heavier than the muscles. Now, how can you know the difference between the bones and the muscles? This may not be obvious to everybody because we don't spend our days paying attention to bones versus muscles. We just have our jobs to do, we have a task, we just go about doing a task. If somebody has been doing yoga or exercise or going to the gym, they are likely to be a little more aware of their body. Otherwise, the body just becomes an instrument to do stuff, get things done, put food on the table, pay the bills. So activities, it's not mechanical, but we just may not be aware of, for example, the hip joint. Yeah. So I invite you to pay attention to the weight of your body while you're sitting and notice the heaviness or which part of your body while you're sitting, it would be the lower part of your body, but which area in the lower part of your body is experiencing the weight of the upper part of the body. And there is a structure which is upholding the weight of the upper part of the body more than other parts. The bones have a certain density from a lifetime of managing weight, so has a certain density, a certain structure, which is different from the soft tissues. So hard tissue, you could say, okay, muscles are also hard tissue when compared to skin. Skin may be more light, or blood, the circulatory tissue, is more lighter and more fluid in composition than the bones. Yeah. And muscles have a different composition. But if you're just going to appreciate the weight of the body and which part of the lower part of your body is mostly managing weight of the upper part of the body, you're likely to, in some way, feel the bones. Now, if you can feel the bones, you could pay attention to warmth of the hip joints, left and right sides. Try and see if you can feel the clothes on your body without, say, just close your eyes and try and feel the clothes on your body. Now, if the region, the area where you're sitting doesn't seem very safe, then you may not feel very safe closing your eyes. So it's okay if you open your eyes. The thing is to be able to feel the hip joints, the region, the clothes on your body without you having to look. Okay? Sometimes closing our eyes makes us feel unsafe because the body is always looking for threat and if it's safe. Yeah. So you may be sitting in a place where you don't feel as safe, which if that's the case, then I invite you to just pay attention to your breath because your breath is sukshma, but it also supports life like hands in glove. This is your life partner. Your breath is also your life partner. So bring your attention to your breath and notice the pace of your breath. If it is fast or regular, however it is, it may be heavy, it may be soft, however it is, bring your attention to your breath and notice the gentle rhythmic movement of your breath at this moment in time. And then see if you can be aware of your posture at this point in time. If you're sitting, then you're more likely to be aware of your sitting posture. And then see if you can pay attention to the clothes on your body. If you can be aware of the clothes on your body. And notice if paying attention to the clothes on your body changes your breath in any way. Because this is more something that you can hold on to if you're in some way feeling unsafe. Paying attention to what you already have, which is not threatening. For example, the clothes on your body. Yeah? May be in some way helping your breath ease. And then you can look at what may be having you feel unsafe. Your body is always trying to protect you, to maintain health. Yeah? To maintain not just being alive, but there is a lot of goals you would like to achieve. So your body is always watching for what's going to keep them safe, your goals and what you like to do. So try and pay attention to your posture and the clothes on your body while continuing to pay attention to your breath, the gentle rhythmic movement of your breath at this point in time. And if possible, try and bring your attention to your feet, the whole body frame. Let's just say feet, your pelvis as you're sitting with the posture is holding your center of gravity, and your head. So that gives a framework of your body. And sort of, this is your kingdom. You maintain your kingdom within this body framework. So head, pelvis, and feet are like heaven, earth, and hell, so to speak. Yeah, you have the three worlds. So you're already the Trimurti. Yeah, Trilokya, um, Murti, Sundara Murti. Yeah, Trilokya Sundara Murti. Now, to appreciate the beauty of these three worlds, I invite you to bring your attention to the tailbone, because this is where the stories and tales of our life is also maintaining an anchor. Yeah. And notice how comfortably is your tail sitting on your chair, on your seat. Because if you keep a photo framework that may be sitting on a stand, yeah, in some way leaning on a stand. So a tailbone is like that which props up our tails and the construct of our stories, the body framework story, yeah, plays a very important role because Hanuman had such a long tail, he coiled it, sat on it, and spoke to King Ravana. Yeah, so quite an amazing structure. And humans are said to have evolved from apes. Yeah, Hanuman, like, so we got long tails. The human body didn't just form overnight. So that tail is not doing a small job, and it is tucked inside the body. Yeah. So can you imagine the engineering? Yeah, the wonder and wow. And then you have the hip joints, the left and right sides. And try and pay attention to how is this experience of feet, pelvis, head, your tailbones, and then you have your palms. Yeah. Which then maintains a left versus right. You can do something if something is not feeling fine to protect your own kingdom. Yeah, your Trilokya, Sundaramurti. Yeah. How well do you maintain your heaven, earth, and hell is also by the palms you have, or your unique abilities by which you maintain your own kingdom. With or without limbs, we have a body that's human. We are already equipped with what it takes to protect our kingdom. Uh, uh, Different people have found their own unique coping mechanisms by which to protect their kingdom and their different stories and for coming into existence, and the unique set of gifts that you alone have, which until you speak, nobody would know what is that you're having in your trunk, in your treasure house, in this Trilokya Sundaramurti. So I invite you to, if possible, to speak, maybe on Instagram or on in an audio which you can share on, say, WhatsApp, or just speak to another person. But if you want your voice heard to not just your immediate circles, you would need to reach out on a social media surface. You never know where all your tribe is, your complementary tribe is. And when they find you, they're going to connect with you. But you'll have to speak. And then, so this is like Akashvani, Akashvani radio. So if you don't open and radio it, yeah, make booth and all they say. So if your voice is not going out speaking, the bird is not singing, there is no complimentary response from whom you'd like to hear from. You never know.
Space, ma'am?
I'm sorry?
The time of your space?
My time here? It is
Yeah.
7:10.
No. What is the time of your space? Generally, do you regularly come here?
Yes. So
Okay. And
between
what is the
6 and
time?
7, off late it's been more around 6:30.
Okay. 6 and 7 is comfortable. Okay, because that is the time I do the yoga.
Okay.
Okay. Chalo, tomorrow I'll connect again. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for joining me.
Okay, bye-bye.
I hope this has been of value to you. Good day. All right, people. So that was a unique experience. So now I hope what we have covered today, in appreciating your own Have-Ocean Canal plus the Trilokya Sundaramurti, which also forms a human body, your kingdom, your country, your um, palace, memory palace, your galaxy, because you have different parts of your body, cells, tissues, organs, organ system. It's a galaxy of dots and dashes of information, depending on your relationship. If you looked at the Sri Chakra, it has lots of dots and dashes. Yeah. So your walkie-talkie Sri Chakra, it's also called the Sri Yantra, but then you manufacture your health, wealth, and wisdom. Yeah, depending on whom you can connect with, and then have a discussion, what kind of discussion you have. So take care of your book of life. Yeah, you author your own stories, and you're a walkie-talkie weave of the stories that you live by. It also helps to actually have a book and write it, because so then you know what stories are there, what you want to change. You can read the story and then say, this is, you think it's a comedy, but it may be a satire. Yeah. The written text may be different from what you think it is. So do write your story and then improve the Vedas. Um, it's called Antaranga and Bahiranga. So you have your own imaginations. And then when you write it and then you share with people, they will tell you, you think it is comedy, it seems like a satire. Yeah. And then slowly, through feedback, you sharing with people, feedback, and then you retrospecting on your own different experiences, you will come to a little more balance, or rather a tally of stories. And then you'll see, now this is what it looks like, and then further fine details, adjustments. You'll come to, I think this is the genre of my story, and this is what I'd like it to be. And world also is reflecting that this is the story it is. And there's more match. Otherwise, reality, imagination and reality, self-actualization, there may be a little mismatch. Yeah, like credit and debit mismatch. Yeah, and karma points is accordingly. So you would like it, and you would like your account balance to be one thing, whereas it was showing another thing, and then karma points accordingly. What opportunities show up? You'll be wondering, why is this happening to me? Yeah, I'm doing all of this stuff, but why is this happening? Story mismatch. Yeah, so do right and then slowly recalibrate your stories. And the hip joints helps you know how is the balance maintained, how is the equation between the left wing and right wing. No, you're sitting wings. Yeah, otherwise you're having flights of idea because the balance here is the Mooladhara, kind of around there. So your base equations are fine. Um, there is also said to be certain discomfort when your hip joints are a little off. So paying attention to details is how you then slowly recalibrate and bring an equation. Yeah, between left and right, credit, debit, between haves and have-nots. Yeah, and then your ability to sit comfortably in your seat in life, in your office. You're born with the pelvis. Yeah. So whether or not you have an office space, you have this pelvis to sit in your own niche. Yeah. Nobody else can occupy that seat. Yeah. And then it is about how you then improve your story, your office, what you make available, credit debit balance. Yeah. How your account balance all makes better. So we got a lot of weave. Yeah. So much opportunities. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope this has been of value to you. Good day.